a Maid of the Mist ride is worth
Well,
it.
yes. And seeing the falls lit up at night.
Yes.
With all of their... Well, when we were there, they had
got all the colored
colors.
lights behind the falls.
Yep. That was really cool.
It's real pretty.
And then our last piece of WWE news is something that's currently still a rumor, but more and more sounding legit every day.
And more sounding like that was the plan all along, but now they're jumping the gun a week early.
Well, here's the thing.
Because of the backlash.
No, well, according to Meltzer, Angle Corbin was the plan for months. That was what it was supposed to be. That's what it was always going to be. However, with the backlash when they announced it at the crowd, who basically booed it and went dead, and all of the internet backlash, it sounds like WWE is officially canceling that match. And
I'm so glad that we're not the only Corbin haters.
I mean, I don't necessarily hate Corbin.
I've seen he's actually finally starting to get better, but he's still the wrong opponent for Kurt Angle's retirement match.
Absolutely the wrong opponent. I still stand my ground and say that this probably should go to Cena. Only for the sheer fact that there's actually history there.
Yeah, and then also like I see people making comparisons to the Flair Shawn Michaels one. I was like, it's a little unfair, but also the idea Shawn was only 5 years away from retiring himself.
Right. I mean, don't get me wrong. I think Cena's only a handful of years away from his retirement.
I mean, he's half retired.
So I think, being that Angle was Cena's first main opponent in WWE,
first on television,
WWF, I think that would make sense. I think that would make sense. I think they could give a good send off that way.
Plus, they're looking for a Cena match still, apparently.
2
weeks to go.
This would be the match, not Corbin. Corbin is just wrong. He can be involved in the show somewhere else, but he's just wrong here.
He can lose the Andre Battle Royal.
He could be in the Andre Battle Royal. He could accompany Lashley or McIntyre to the ring.
Have they even been has anybody even been I'm going to enter the Battle Royal?
No, not as of yet. And the funny thing is
it ever been advertised?
No. The current running rumor is that there's 17 matches on the on the
and it's going to be 8 fucking hours long.
Holy shit.
17 matches, 8 hours.
Every year, it's just getting more and more and more. Sooner or later, they're going to have to start breaking it up into 3 days.
And Wrestle Kingdom's going to do next year?
Yeah, pretty much.
2-day show.
So, yeah. Anybody got any suggestions who Angle should face? Again, throw those in the comments.
And the answer is John Cena.
Agreed. I think at the end of the day, that's who it's going to be.
Yes. So,
I guess we'll hop across the pond before we go back into the States, because hopping across the pond has much better work.
I mean, the pond is usually the Atlantic Ocean, but we're talking about the Pacific Ocean this time.
Yeah, well, we're doing the other pond.
The other pond.
So, on to some New Japan news. The New Japan Cup continues to roll on. This particular week, you saw the quarterfinals. Mm-hmm. So you had Ishii and Yoshihashi in a relatively good match. Yoshihashi actually surprised me in this match, but Ishii
was like, dude, fire up!
Seriously.
And he ripped his K-tape off of him. He's like, you don't need that shit.
Yoshihashi surprised me with his strength. He was actually, picking up Ishii and, brain busters and all sorts of stuff that you don't really attribute to a Yoshihashi match.
Yoshihashi seems like a guy that could be if he like misses one meal that week, he could be a junior heavy.
Absolutely. So he very much surprised me in this match. He put on a great fight against Ishii, but Ishii pulls it off in the end. So Ishii goes on to yet another semifinal.
And yet another. Is he fought only people from Chaos this entire tournament?
He started off with Nagata.
So no, but after that, right?
Then he had Tai Chi.
Okay.
And then Yoshihashi, and then his upcoming opponent was in the next match. So you had Okada and Ospreay. Again, fantastic match.
Ospreay's really stepped it up.
Ospreay looked great.
And not just doing flippies.
Yeah, no, Ospreay. I think Ospreay has learned. I think he realizes he had to change his style because
he missed some important stuff last year. So
it was killing him and shortening his career to boot. As expected, Okada did walk away from this match as the winner.
Mm-hmm.
So your match tomorrow morning is Ishii and Okada. Another chaos match.
So Okada is on his third straight chaos match?
Okada, he started off with Elgin.
Yeah.
Then he had Mikey Nichols, which is
chaos.
Then he had Will Ospreay.
Chaos.
And now Ishii.
Chaos.
So yes, chaos.
Hontai, chaos.
So, that's going to be one hell of a match. I expect Okada to win.
I expect a murder.
Your other two matches, you had Tanahashi and Zack Sabre Jr. This was really good. There's a lot of history between Tanahashi and Sabre. Tanahashi wins. Zack Sabre Jr. looked horribly defeated after he lost. Like it was like somebody just kicked his kitten.
Damn.
Tanahashi put on like his air guitar.
Yeah, he
for like 5 rounds.
Yeah, he air guitared to end the show.
Tanahashi's
been wrestling different too. You can tell
he has. But did you also notice he's not protecting his arm anymore? He doesn't wear the arm brace.
Mm.
So I guess his bicep tear is healed. Despite the fact that his knees might be fucked, he's still doing high fly flows out of the ring. He's still putting on the work, and he's still
not as much during the tournament, which I don't blame him because he's like, it's a tournament. If he's doing high fly flows, he's doing like 2 a match. For freaking 5 matches.
Dude is still built like a brick shit house. I mean, he's still cut. He's still thick. He's got a wrestler's body and then some. And then your final match was Sonata and Colt Cabana, which I did not expect this to go any other way. It was the quickest match of the quarters. Sonata wins by submission. And now, tomorrow morning, you also have Tanahashi and Sonata, which I expect Tanahashi to win.
And then we'll end up with Okada Tanahashi 25.
Exactly.
For Madison Square Garden.
That's what I'm expecting.
So they can lose to Jay White, though.
I don't expect any way, shape, or form that Okada is going to lose to Ishii. But if Sonata can overcome Tanahashi, either, Sonata is losing to Okada, which kind of would make sense, because Okada has unfinished business with Jay White, but then that gives Sonata and Tanahashi to work in the future, because it seems like everybody who loses to their opponent seems to be setting up a future. Like Naito and Ibushi have a future.
A funky future?
They have an Intercontinental Championship future coming up.
Sometime.
But yeah, so overall, New Japan's still putting on probably the best wrestling work in the world.
Yeah, Naito keeps like egging Ibushi on. He's like, holds the title and looks at him. He's like, do you want to challenge me for this? You did beat me. You wanna? And Ibushi's like, eh.
I really don't want it. I mean, and not for nothing. I mean, Naito doesn't even want the belt. I'm surprised he hasn't just given it to Ibushi and be like, here, you carry this. But nonetheless, I would still love to see them in a match that matters. Yeah. I still want to see Naito get up into the main title picture again.
I think he might be who eventually beats Jay White later this year.
I wouldn't be surprised. Which leads me to believe that there could be the possibility of Sonata Jay White, and that's kind of what sets it up. But I don't think Sonata's going to be coming to the States anytime soon, so who knows?
I don't know. They claim that they claim that everybody has their visa. So.
Yeah, that is what I've read. They claim that they're not going to have that screw up happen again.
A lot of people were like, "So it wasn't their fault," and I was like, "Yeah, it's kind of their fault because you're
really
gonna announce 3 U.S. shows. You want to make sure that your people can get there."
Exactly.
Like that's the thing you want done before you announce the shows and book the venues.
Yes, and one other piece of New Japan news. On Sunday morning,
which is
we have
final of the tournament.
Yep, we have a U.S. championship match between who's that guy?
Chase Owens and
the Juice Man himself.
Juice Robinson.
Now, I'm going to throw it out there. I would not be surprised to see Chase Owens given that title.
Mm-hmm. Like I've been saying the entire time they've been doing this, is that Juice is the leader of a faction in ROH, which means that he is going to spend more of his time in the U.S. this year.
And I agree with you there, but on the other flip side, I also say that Chase Owens is probably one of the most improved wrestlers over the course of the last year.
Yep. He's definitely up for most improved.
He has seriously stepped his game up, and much like Adam Cole did before he left New Japan, where he went from being just a mid-carder to not being a mid-carder anymore. He really, really stepped up his work ethic. So I'm really happy to see Chase do that, and I believe that he should be awarded the U.S. title. It just kind of makes sense. It's a stepping stone title for guys.
Mm-hmm.
Alrighty, so got some AEW news. Now we're back in the States.
Yeah, we are.
Ali has officially re-signed.
She signed with AEW, man.
Ali has signed with AEW.
Yeah, you should be watching the YouTube videos of the road to.
I was, and then I got sidetracked. So I'm actually behind by like 3 videos.
They're so good because there's like some storyline stuff, but then there's also some real stuff because they talk to Ellie. They like Brandy brings her in, and they got like this lady that does designing of gear, so they're gonna make her some new gear for when she debuts with them. And then they talk to her and stuff. And it's really cool. And then another thing that happened, because this was like stuff that happened while Cody and the Bucks were in Mexico last weekend at the AAA show, which was Rey de Reyes, which I still haven't seen yet because AAA finally caught on to the fact that you could make people subscribe to your Twitch so they can watch your VODs.
Yep.
So you can lock out your VODs. So I haven't seen that show yet, and I want to. But at that show, Cody was like, "Hey, I'm happy that AEW is with AAA," and he gets attacked by some heels. And then later in the show, the Young Bucks win the AAA tag titles from the Lucha Bros. But anyway, this entire road to was like Brandy and everybody else doing stuff while Cody and the Bucks were gone. And so one of the things was, they talked about Allie showed up and they did all that. Another one is she called Dave Milliken, who is like number one belt maker supreme, and was checking in on how things were going.